As always, look up and down the chat window. The participants, there's a really great group of people that are coming together and talking about digital applications in our work in the oil field and ways to improve the workflows and efforts that we're involved with every day. So it's a really good group of people to get to know. Or start conversations or even use the chat to meet some folks. Also, if you want to send questions during the chat, during the talk in the chat, we can track those and bring them up at the end, or you can speak at the end and we can ask questions. Today we've got Louisiana, Texas, and Colorado all together to talk about some ways that Brigade and Cleargistix are coming together to really put digital tools to work, not just to be fancy or to build dashboards, but to really move the bottom line and change the services and the quality of work that they're able to execute. And so I feel like some of the talks we've had in the past have been more educational and thinking about some of the tools that we could use and ways that we might use them, but without having as much of a tangible impact to the business bottom line. So we've been less cash flow focused. I think today we get to look at something that's really driving change in a sector of the business and in specific companies, where Cleargistix is coming together to help realize more information from the field, and Brigade is really building processes around that in a interesting way. So I'm going to pass over control to those guys, and I look forward to learning along with all of you today. Take it away.
You're muted, Kevin.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Stephen, you want to go ahead and introduce the Cleargistix team, and then I'll go into from there.
Absolutely. So my name's Stephen Toups. I'm the president and CEO of Cleargistix. Also on with us today is Lindsay Sweitzer, who is the straw in our drink, who makes a lot of this happen and makes a lot of it work. Lindsay's our chief customer officer. So she's in charge of implementation and training for Cleargistix. And again, very happy to be here today, and greatly appreciate the invitation from Mindy and Kurt to come speak to you guys.
Thanks, Steve. Lindsay, you want to say hello?
Hi. So basically what I do is I make everything work. I really enjoy my job. I love being able to work with people at all different levels. And I'm greatly looking forward to today.
Thank you, Lindsay. Eric Hebert.
Yeah, hello everybody. So we're just happy to get an opportunity to share a little bit of something, bringing in a couple of different perspectives from some of us that have been in the industry for what seems like all of our lives, and helping bring in some new perspectives on helping move forward the industry in this whole digitalization and data management world. So thanks for having us.
Thanks, Eric. All right, my name's Kevin Pope. I'm the VP of Service Quality for Brigade. Some companies are familiar with service quality, others are not, but it kind of means I get to touch everything in the business, and I go fix things and find problems. But I've got a little bit of a unique background. I've only been in the oil field for 7 years. I spent 25 years in the military, retired as a Navy SEAL, and I don't bring that up for any other reason than it helped us drive our perspective and how we approach business. And so we're using a lot of the lessons learned that we have from the military to try and make the business better. When I got into oil and gas, hired by a private equity firm and put into one of their portfolio companies to improve their safety record. And so I went out there and started that. But I was expecting when I came to the oil field to have all kinds of data, technology, everything else. I thought, it's a big technology driven area, and was really expecting to see a lot more than I did. I got out here and kind of some archaic approaches to running and using data from what I had learned in the military and when I was there, with the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and other places that we were working. So took a lot of the lessons learned that I had from there, applied it to here, but I also took the data approaches that we had learned in the military to the oil field as well. Eric is helping me, he's got a great background in supply chain and logistics inside oil and gas for, I think, 17 years now, Eric. Yeah, so where I have gaps and don't have enough of the industry knowledge, Eric helps round me out on that and keep me straight. So with that, I'll just kind of hop into the slides here, and please feel free to ask questions. We don't want to just present this slide. We want it to be a discussion, but I'm going to bring up the slides, and any questions you guys have on our approach or how we're implementing, would love to hear them. So that said, so I started off here and I kept the Brigade mission statement, and the reason I put the Brigade mission statement up there is it's the importance of it. And this again comes back from my time in the SEAL teams and my CEO's time in this, who was also a SEAL, Justin Bliffen. And the mission statement defines success before you start. So before you ever go out on a mission, you write down the mission statement, and if you do not achieve that, you've failed. And so we took a lot of time putting together a little bit of a run-on sentence, but a mission statement saying, what is Brigade going to be? There's a lot of need for improvement, especially in the well servicing space, as I'm sure everybody on this call is aware of. But we are really trying to push the bar. We think it can be done better. We know it can be done better. We've been making improvements constantly since we've gotten started, but really through data management is one of the processes that we want to do. We want to be able to provide not only ourselves internal, but our customers with data, and quick data, immediate data, almost as close to living as we can get, so that we can all make better decisions on what the processes are out there, and it's all to drive efficiencies and cost savings. So that's the reason we started the mission statement in this project that we're working on here currently. These are how this project, this data project that we'll work on, how it meets our mission statement and how it's going to get us across get our processes across. So any questions or comments? I want to rush through that, and I'm sure there's some discussion topics. All right. So our digitalization journey, and again, these are lessons learned that I had in the military. I got to work with some very powerful AI data collection tools while I was in the military, and so there's a little bit of a data evolution, as we all know, and what we're trying to do is kind of skip some of those steps where we know the data fails and try to get to where we want to get, across the board. And so with that, Eric, this is your slide you put together. You want to talk to a couple points on there?
Yeah, so a little bit about kind of from where Kevin's coming from with his comments about data evolution. So, every data project that we've seen in the oil and gas field specifically has really gone through a maturity curve, talking about, hey, everybody knows that we need to make a change. Everybody understands some of the types of data and some of the types of siloed data that are out there and that can be developed, but no one's really fully defining that and fully connecting their organization. So we recognize the need not to go through a data evolution and take the time to do that, but to make some evolutionary leaps in that, right? So we've been able to partner with some really great partners to help us move that forward faster. So that selection helps. But really kind of where we are in that journey on our side is everything from defining what that digital concept should be, and then really truly defining how are we going to execute that into this project. So we're at the point where we've now piloted, we've implemented certain enabling technologies, and we have piloted the execution of those integrated together where we can see all of our data from disparate systems into one location. So that's really where we are today. And then we recognize the steps for now post-pilot, fully integrating other systems and making sure that we're enabling some technology into what we will call, and you'll hear us talk about this later in the presentation, but a data sphere. So we want the Brigade data sphere to be fully incorporative of all of our data so that we can make better associations and better decisions.
Thanks, Eric. So I got a friend of mine who came from military technology, worked with DoD building UAVs, and he made a statement to me. He has now moved to the oil field, and he's working on some data projects as well. And the way he referred to it as data is kind of like teen sex. You know, everybody's talking about it. Very few are doing it, and those who are doing it probably aren't doing it right. So it really rang true with me from what I've seen from my time in the military to what I'm seeing here. We end up with a bunch of siloed systems, that are all trying to do some sort of analytics to them, and no cross-pollination. You can't see how one thing affects another. And so one of those things was being able to integrate your data. And so I'll go on to the next slide here, but the connected company concept, where all your data touches and is integrated at all different levels. So just one thing, for us on the internal side, just doing internal audits, become clicks of a mouse rather than a lot of people trying to pull up different portions of the analytics from, the employee standpoint, from the finances, from the asset use, utilization, and trying to put all that together in a presentation. We spend a ton of time doing that and then trying to report that out. This is literally being able to bring your data together where you can see how downtime over the whole affects the rest of the business, everything from reputation to processes that you use to get there. But tracking our maintenance, tracking kind of everything integrated into one system. And so with that, before I go on, I want to get some questions out there. I'd really like to get some more interactive discussion around this so that we can share better our story. Okay. Eric, you want to?
Yeah, a couple of things around this too is, we knew that we needed to look at more of that total connected company concept. And what that meant for us was both from an internal to Brigade perspective. So how are we focused on speed of execution? How are we focused on utilizing the best technologies so that we can run our business more efficiently? But we also recognize as a service provider that we have to focus on the external or our customers' perspective. So how do we provide data in a format that is an actual value-added process? And part of what we took a perspective was that we knew that we had to have not only accurate data, but it needed to be near or real-time access. And that has a value to it, and that has a value to not just to us as Brigade, but to us as a company with our partnered customers. So, when we looked out on our total strategy, we knew we needed a partnership around data and collective information, not just our perspective. So that's kind of what you'll see here is that was the underpinning and the pillars for our strategy. But recognizing again that it all needed to be around one single Brigade data sphere.
So I'll ask a question. When you talk about that data sphere, we kind of tend not to live in really organized systems. So as you're converting or trying to get it all integrated together, is there something more you can speak to? There's like the valuation side of justifying the investment in building that data warehouse and getting all the information organized, and then the hurdles in getting it organized so that you can build this data sphere.
Yeah, Eric, why don't you go ahead and lead that one off?
I'll lead that off. So yeah, it's a great question, Kurt. Exactly what we thought, as we looked at what happened in the oil field, typically with these kind of data projects, trying to build very structured data, starting with, a SQL server or SQL database, kind of building on that, and then going through that data evolution of having to right size all of your data the same. Right. So when we look for partners to help us deliver this, we were looking for partners that could use both structured and unstructured data and build data associations, not through a database format, a traditional kind of database format, but from an actual data element associations. So, for example, not having to structure our financial data in NetSuite exactly the same as our geolocation data for our fleet tracking of our rolling stock, but knowing that I could use a base data element of, unit number or VIN number or something like that, and then get all of the data associations that way. So that's just one small example, but a really good question that we said, let's just take that step forward, because in order to do some of that data warehousing and data, master data management, you need a whole team of people to do those kind of things, right? And we said, well, we've got all the data, whether it's structured or not, we have it. Let's go find a partner that can help us just make the links and the associations that we already know.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. Any other questions or more discussion items on this one? It's all right, I'll go on to the next slide then. So I'm going to turn it over to Stephen with Cleargistix, kind of run through his slide and how they fit into the puzzle.
Thank you very much, Kevin and Eric. Appreciate it. So just a little background on who we are, what we're doing, and kind of, part of what we're doing with Brigade's project. So Cleargistix was started in 2015, and it was started out based on my time as the CFO of an oilfield services company in Midland, Texas. What I realized very quickly was the oil field was awash in paper, and there was really nothing that was on the marketplace that I felt could handle all of our paper needs. And so I, devised a whole bunch of Excel systems and a whole bunch of Excel reporting, but could never find anything that, step number one in process analysis and process improvement is capture data at the source. And what I was looking to try to do was find a system that could capture information at the source on location, and something that, I thought would fit our business needs. And very importantly, something I thought that our folks in the field would actually utilize, and I couldn't find anything. And that really was the genesis of the Cleargistix story. And so, what we are is we say we're digital field ticketing, and that, it sounds very generic. But what we help our customers do is pretty simple, and that's we help them get rid of paper and spreadsheets. And we help them not only capture, but manage information from the field. A lot has gone in on our side to solve this oil field paper problem. So everything from design to execution, et cetera. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those things, and then Lindsay's going to talk about some in a second. But three things that our system is that, a system to be utilized in the oil field, we feel really has to be, and that's flexible, configurable, and field usable. So we don't have the Cleargistix way of doing things. We've got our customers' ways of doing things that we can configure inside of our system. And that is very, very important, because when you take a step back, one of the things that we're helping companies such as Brigade do is to create a common interface for the entry of information. So Cleargistix is capable of capturing any kind of information that would be captured on a paper form or spreadsheet. And that means service tickets, JSAs, inspection reports, training documents, etc. So our goal is to not take one or two of the pieces of paper out of the process. Our goal is to take all the paper out of the process and then have those employees, especially the field employees, become very used to a common entry interface that once they understand how this works, once they see the value in how this works, layering on additional elements, information elements to be captured becomes very, very, very easy. So the first one's the hard one, and then people go, oh, I understand how to use this tool. So let me go, and now I'm being asked to use this tool to order PPE to location. Okay, I understand how Cleargistix works. Yep, I understand how this new ticket works in there. So that flexibility and configurability is really, really, really important. The field usability, again, you're going to hear it a lot, is, that is really the thing that we're proud of. We love the stories when we're training customers and we check back in on them a week later and they go, oh my goodness, I am never, ever, ever going back to using paper anywhere at work because this is so much easier, so much faster, and saves me time. And that is, part of our design criteria is we have to try very, very, very hard to put in place something that, from our user's perspective, is so much better than paper that it's like, I get this. This saves me time. This is not hard to do because, as we all understand, there's a lot of power in the oil field that resides in the field, and it's got to be a decision, kind of almost on a employee or field user by field user basis, as to whether we're going to do this. And that's really how we designed our system, to make it that common interface, to make it simple, to make it very well organized, to make it uncluttered, etc. What we really do at a high level is we allow companies to dispatch work. We allow them to capture information regarding that work out in the field, to manage information for review, approval, reporting, and other purposes. And then we help companies integrate that information with their back-end systems. So for example, at Brigade, I apologize for the siren outside. At Brigade, we are pushing information to their ERP system. We are pushing information to their payroll system, and we're pushing information into their AI-based business intelligence system that Kevin referenced earlier. So we've got 3 different paths, and often it's some of the same information. And so the ability to push information out to these other systems really helps solidify what Brigade's trying to accomplish in this data project. Something else Kevin mentioned that we are, firmly believers of is that every cost is somebody else's revenue and every revenue is somebody else's cost. So the revenue that the oilfield services company, such as Brigade, wants to track is very, very valuable information for the operator because that's letting them know what their costs are. And the desire to have true collaboration between these service companies and the operators regarding this information, this valuable information that's being collected, again, in real time out in the field, will enable both parties to win and benefit both major groups of players out in the oil field. We have built our system around a change management frame of mind. We do a lot of things in how we've constructed our system to make it as easy as possible for that field user to enter the first ticket and then the second ticket and then the third ticket, and getting them to use that first ticket is very, very, very important. Once they use it for a day, it's like, okay, I get this. I understand this. This is making my life easier. So we actually will make the digital ticket look as close as possible to the piece of paper that they've been filling out for 10, 20 years. There's a function in our system where at any point in time on any ticket, you hit a button and immediately gets brought up a PDF of what the actual piece of paper would have looked like. And it's a great training tool because at any point in time, you hit the button, you can say, hey, have I gotten all this stuff figured out correctly or filled in correctly? And we've focused on just at every point in time making it easier. And whether that's defaulting information, cutting down on clicks, data entry steps, capturing information in a very job-centric manner, and then managing attachments, which is any document, picture, file, etc., that you want to attach to that digital ticket, digital job inside of our system. Again, all of those things make it easier on the field users to actually use the information. And, we look at things that take time and things that take time in the process. Number one, getting tickets stamped and or approved. So we've developed a digital stamping technology that will turn that driving a group of tickets around in a truck in the oil field into an email. And hey, sign here, approve here. You can fill out your digital stamp and hit a button and boom, that ticket is approved. So that's a little bit about who we are. I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay, and she is going to go through a little bit of the how behind what we do. So Lindsay, take it over.
Hi, my name is Lindsay again. I'm basically going to be talking about the different things that we do here at Cleargistix to help our customers through their change management process. Because let's be honest, if the user isn't invested in it, it's never going to succeed. The first stage is the preparation stage. So the most important thing in an integration and rolling out a new process or a new software is leadership buy-in. Brigade has been amazing with making sure that their users know that this is going to happen, making sure that there are lines in the sand as to this is when this needs to be done, giving them motivation, to make sure that things keep moving forward. The first thing that I start with is understanding the current workflow and what the desired end results are. So the first questions that I always ask is, walk me through your current workflow from the initial call from the customer all the way through field review, through company man approval, to getting to the office for review, and then on to payroll and invoicing. So the main question, the reason why I'm doing that is to find out what you're trying to accomplish. A lot of times when you're switching from a paper process to a digital process, there are more tools at your disposal than there are with paper. So there might be a better way than the way that you're currently doing it. So that whole conversation is, how can we make this better? How can we make this smoother? How can we make it easier? In larger companies, sometimes you have a lot of streamlining of processes or aligning various workflows to where they all kind of work a little bit more similar than they had in the past, being kind of more separated by location or what have you. If you see up at the top of the slide, the secret to a successful implementation is to make things as easy as possible for the field users while still obtaining all of the information needed to invoice customers, run payroll, create reports, and anything else that could be possibly needed in the future. So one of the things that Cleargistix is really good at is the auto population of different fields. So whatever information you put into the job is going to automatically populate whenever you create a ticket for the job. This means that you can literally have over half of your digital ticket already completed when you click new. Customer, location, employees, assets, dates, AFEs, a lot of information. location also can hold a lot of data, whether it's imported by me from well database or whether input by the employee themselves. You can have county, state, zip, lat long. That will populate the ticket even more. Sometimes we can have tickets where you only really need to fill out 3 different things. The items, work description, and once you create that first ticket for the job, you have this wonderful feature that gets every single field user incredibly excited, which is copy ticket. So once you've created that first ticket and you hit copy to new ticket, you can select which fields on the digital ticket automatically populate. So outside of just the things that auto-populate to begin with, things like charge lines, if your charge lines are fairly similar day to day, copying those with updated dates to current day, at that point, all you have to do is collect signatures and put in your work description. And then once you get everybody up and trained on that first ticket, whether it's a field ticket or whatnot, adding additional tickets and ticket types to the site is very easy, because since the person already knows how that flow works, they recognize the fields. They know what customer is for. They know what location's for. They know how to add assets. So, each additional ticket that you add needs little to no training at all. So that makes the life of the field user extremely easy. Once they've used the field ticketing software for a couple of days to a week, depending, it's very, very rare that I have any field user who would ever want to go back to paper. The second part is the validation. So selecting the original person, location, service type, ticket that you're going to roll out is incredibly important, because you want to make sure that the first person that you're training, the first workflow that you're creating is a win. So Brigade wisely decided to start out with Jeff, shout out to Jeff, the district manager of one of their locations. He was very invested in the process, very invested in the company. He was technically savvy, and he understood the benefits that going digital would provide, both for the company, the office users, and even the field users. Since he had his fingers in every aspect of Hennessy's workflow, from data collection in the field to payroll, invoicing, and reporting, he was able to give me a true walkthrough from beginning of the process through the end of the process. Jeff went live so seamlessly and quickly that within an incredibly short period of time, I was giving him access to permission sets that I have only given a handful of people across all of my customers. I believe he said, once you understand how the software flows, it's easy to figure out how to do things you haven't even been taught how to do. I loved that saying. It made me feel really good. Another part of it is continuous feedback from the users, whether it's the field users, the office users. Throughout the entire implementation, there is a configuration, demo, feedback, update accordingly, follow-up demo, feedback, repeat. So the more feedback I get as we go, the more it's tailored to the actual people who are using it. But as far as rolling it out to everybody else, it's my belief that the people that train you, the way in which you're trained, and the availability of the trainer for follow-up questions significantly affects how invested you are in the process as a whole. The first step is always going to be training the trainer. So if there's somebody on the site who is able to give me their time to where I can walk them through everything, show them how everything's done, usually a front end and a back end user, normally like a field supervisor and the office admin, then they are able to go out and train their people, which is always going to be the best case scenario, because they can do it face to face. They're more familiar with the day-to-day operations. But if for whatever reason I'm not able to get a trainer to train, I am more than happy. I say, give the actual field users, whoever's creating the ticket, our contact information, and I will walk them through their first 3 tickets until they feel confident. I probably know half of the field users in Brigade by name. Some I recognize their voice when they call. It's actually a really wonderful thing. It's not only the field users who get this level of support, office users also, when they start going live, I do walk through their payroll and invoicing process with them until they feel comfortable. The biggest goal during rollout is to eliminate stress. So Cleargistix is an easy and intuitive software, but anything new is intimidating until you've done it a few times. And when you clicked this button, the world didn't explode. Taking the time to train each user is greatly preferred than to have them white knuckling it and just having somebody say, "Oh yeah, you just click this button," and they go in. They're just like, it's again not that it's hard, but just that fear of breaking something will cause stress, and that stress will cause a negative takeaway of the software and a low buy-in level. After using the software for a couple of weeks, like I said, most field users would never go back to paper, and have actually fought it in the past with with one of my other customers. And then depending on the ticket workflow, I do create personalized how-to documents and videos for use during the rollout and after the rollout. Whenever you hire new people, just having that paper to be able to help with the training is always a plus. And they are tailored to not only the site and your configuration, but also individual roles and workflows. And as far as support, we are always available. I've gotten calls at 10:30 on a Saturday. I've gotten calls at 6 o'clock in the morning. I haven't gotten one at 2 a.m. yet. Not looking forward to that one. But I always get back to them. If I don't answer it right away, I get back within an hour. And then lastly, iterative improvement. So obviously when we first roll out and you start with one location, if you have multiple service lines, multiple tickets, JSAs, all the different workflows based, on location, it's not uncommon that during rollout, we find the need to go back to the configuration stage whenever we come across a new service line, ticket, or workflow. So our goal is to make this as easy as humanly possible on the field user. The less they have to do, the better, because they're already nervous about the different changes that are happening. So long as the look and feel of the tickets is familiar and they have that support and that hand holding through the training phase, it is surprisingly easy to get the field user buy-in. So that's.
Thank you, Lindsay. And we've been part of the relationship that we've had with Brigade is exactly that, to use Kevin's military analogy. We've established beachheads. We've gone slow. We haven't hit anybody over the head with anything. We're constantly getting feedback. We're constantly validating. We're constantly making users feel that they're playing a part. Some user will suggest something. Hey, it would be cool if it did this, and we'll put that in our release release information and develop against it. So the going slow and going in a very stepwise manner is something that Brigade, we've worked with Brigade to accomplish. As Lindsay said, the choice of the first location that we rolled out was phenomenal. Jeff's done a fabulous job, been a great advocate for the company. And people call Jeff and go, "Hey, this is new. It's coming to me. What's going to go on here?" And to have that internal advocate that, yep, it's fantastic. Lindsay's great. You guys will really enjoy it. before you know it, you turn around and everybody's on the system. Again, by not beating anyone over the head with anything, having wins, and then moving on from there. So we have really, greatly appreciated our partnership with Brigade on this effort, and participating in their larger project to really use data as a competitive advantage for absolutely everything that they're doing. Kevin, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate that. And so, we're working closely with Cleargistix, but one of the things that we're using them for is our entry-level platform, so that we get good data in. As everybody always says, it's only as good as the data coming in. So we've moved a lot of our processes into Cleargistix, from KSAs to our rig audits to obviously our field ticketing, and our good catch, our near miss programs. Everything kind of goes through Cleargistix. It's one platform. It's intuitive. The guys learn it. Cleargistix has been very adapting and getting it to us. And what that is eliminating for us is time lost. So when we have events, we have things happen, we have equipment breakage. Right now it gets written down on a piece of paper, it gets handed to the supervisor when he shows up on location, and at some point when he's in the office, when somebody else is in, he turns in that paperwork. So sometimes this could take 45 days to get that information in, but right now, so we're able to see it that day. If there's something mechanically wrong with the rig on location, the district manager can see it as soon as they log it in there, and we can start getting fixes to it. But the other thing is even on the safety side of that, getting ahead of our leading indicators, or getting them faster, rather than 45 days waiting for the HSE guys to tally up all the good catches and near misses to see what our trends are. We can look at those trends on a daily basis as they're coming in and go, hey, we need to make an adjustment here. There's something wrong. We need to add training here. We need to do that. So it really drives our processes in creating efficiencies inside the business. Eric, anything to add on that one?
Yeah, one of the things I would just say, and we appreciate the partnership with Cleargistix. And as we mentioned at the very beginning, we've got multiple enabling technologies to allow us to pull this data in. But that base of Cleargistix to get us that field level, well level data collection as simple as possible is one of the key enablers for us, right? So that as soon as we get that in, we add that to all the other data streams, and that allows us really to capture that. And I think that's the key piece there around process efficiency for us too. So yeah, and we appreciate that with Cleargistix as they help us kind of take those next steps, and we launch off of that.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, so the plan is, as we're moving forward, and we're doing a lot of passive collection right now. So we try to collect passively from our ELD providers, sensors that we're working on. We got some of those in our next evolutionary step that we're going to be doing, but collecting much bit passively so we get the human error out of it. So try to have clean, consistent data up front. For those points where you do have to have entry points, we are trying to limit those entry points to just a couple of things, so that again, anytime you add a human to it, you add human error. And so we've been working hard towards getting those passive collections as much as possible and feeding it in the system, and then linking the data together, so you can see how one decision made in North Dakota impacts you in South Texas. But it's, we're on our evolutionary path. We still have a long ways to go, don't get me wrong, but we're making steps in order to be able to provide better services for our customer. So, sorry, was there a question out there? Eric, any more on this slide?
No, really, the last I would say, when we talk about kind of benefits today and tomorrow, Kevin's hit most of everything that we're looking forward. But I think this, what we're trying to also recognize is that our asset utilization, our process efficiency, and our asset utilization, and how we distribute those helps us to better align ourselves to meeting our customer needs, both efficiently and from a cost perspective. But it also allows us, with that collaboration level, to be able to provide well-leveled data to the customers on a timely basis. It talks about cost and burn rates, what the activities are on site, rather than waiting for a field ticket to happen, carrying around between each location. You get it automatic. You get it every day. So, and we pull that into our central database and our central analytics, and we can provide that information back to our customers. So, as we look forward to working with our customers on being able to provide post-job reporting and looking at the history of the equipment that we put out on location, the history of the people that are on location, we realize how important that can be for all of us to operate both efficiently and safely.
Thank you, Eric. Any questions or comments? Kurt, maybe you can help kick everybody off with some questions.
Well, you've got a running theme in some ways. You've talked a little bit about some of your the guys, and I've heard you guys speak about your leaders in the field and using being specific about the language you use for that. And you're talking about partnerships here. I wonder if maybe you can talk a little bit about how your approach to data and thinking about data, the people that are using information and the services that you're involved with, how that thinking of partnerships versus service impacts how you are developing this whole approach.
Yeah, so would love to. So yeah, Brigade, obviously military themed coming back. You got a couple thousand years of doctrine written in the military on how you do everything, processes. A lot of the stuff that we still use in the military today was designed from the span of control, all the way back to the Roman times and the Roman legions, and how they approached it. And so we're trying to take those same processes. The parallels between the military and the oil field, especially the oil field services, are immense. And one of the biggest things is, in the military, we deploy small teams to austere locations to work in inclement weather and conditions. Well, that's the same thing we do in the oil field. And we expect those guys to be able to make decisions out there, good decisions that don't cause cost overruns or hazardous situations. And so we do train our people in leadership and teach them what it means to be a leader. And we've got some classes that we run them through as a requirement, but we have an extensive training program, and it grows every day to try and drive those processes so that when we are partnered with those customers, they know that we have their best interests in mind. It's much like how we partner with Cleargistix. They're our service provider, and we integrate data and show them. We want to be able to do the same thing with our customers to help them find better and more efficient ways. We are now, as we're rolling this out and we're hitting each one of these wells, we track all the data on the well, everything that was done on an individual of that well, what happened. We're trending the fields and the basins. What's the most likely causes in here? What's driving this well intervention? What happened? And start trending those out, and we see that fields have trends. There are time frames. Paraffin builds up at this time frame, and so being able to provide that along with pre and post job reports of what we're doing. Pre-job being everything from the qualifications and training that the crew has to the rig maintenance, the capabilities of that rig, so that we can see that. But being able to provide that up front so you know what you're getting as a product, and to include the safety record of that crew and how well they do, what their efficiencies are. And then, obviously this is going to be building over time. We're going to get better at sharing and trending that data, but the thought is to be able to provide better well servicing. We know that this space needs a lot of work. It's been beat up, and we become better. And so through our training, through our leadership, through our processes that we're rolling out, and now our data collection, we think we can provide a better service. And that's our objective, is to be able to work as partners with strategic partners rather than just call out work for a job.
Kevin, we had a question from Kevin Moran, who asked, what are the critical validated data points?
So one thing that we believe in is measure everything. So one thing I learned in the military, if you don't measure it, you can't improve it. And so we are trying to literally measure everything, and that's a process and time to get there. One of the things that I learned, again, while I was in with the AI technology is I used to, when I first got some of it and I was trying to implement it and do rollouts in the military, I would always go in there and be like, hey, I need it to look like this. I need, this report, this dashboard. And very powerful systems, AI technology, but they finally came back to me and they said, hey, why don't you let the data tell you how you need to see it? And I'd never thought about it in that aspect before. So it really changed me and my approach to getting data and what we need to do. So it's collect as much as you can, but learn how it needs to be viewed. It'll start telling you as you trend it out. Obviously you need some powerful tools to really do that. And, we've got some great ones going here at Brigade, but it's, I don't know if did I answer the question with that one?
Yeah.
Can you be a little bit more specific maybe about some of the metrics that you're following? Like, I think you've talked before about some of your crew metrics that help them improve. Are there some specific things that you're tracking that help you, one, make sure that the data is make sure the data quality is good, and then two, that's driving sort of actions and decisions within your group?
So, one, just tracking the metrics of the near hits, near misses, good catches, whatever you want to refer to, and stop works. We're able to get those up front and curb those trends. When we start seeing the same thing happening in maybe multiple areas, it gives us an opportunity to share and curb our training immediately and get safety alerts out or whatever it might be as we see things. So we've done a lot of safety alerts and removing things from the business as we see incidents happening in one location or another. So those are validated points, but really, helping us on the efficiency side is, rather than 45 days down the road where we get to see the P&Ls and see that we got out of whack with our labor and ran up extreme overtimes, the managers are going to be able to see that on a daily basis where they can kind of curb those trends and help us be more efficient, which makes us a more an economic solution for the customer. We can provide pricing for the service that we're able to give to them. But some of the other metrics that we want to track, again, is the operational performance, non-productive time. And through Cleargistix, we get a good view of that, because we're tracking through our ELD provider. We know when that rig's running and when it's not running, so we can see that the repairs go right into the Cleargistix ticket. So we know when we have breakdowns over the hole, and we're taking all of that and we're trending that out. And over the years, we'll be able to develop our maintenance program around, PTO on an NOV rig, goes out at about 3 years. It's half the cost to repair it, at 2.5 years, and we don't have non-productive time over the hole. So things like that, and again, it's just going to continue to get better. But those are just some of the metrics there. Eric, did you want to add on with some others?
Yeah. So, Kevin mentioned our ELDs and our geospatial tracking, and we take that data to validate against the field ticket also. So kind of specific to Kevin Moran's question, we're using NetSuite, our financial data, validated against the field ticket, validated against our payroll system, hours, validated against the geospatial location. right? And then, so that's kind of our base for everything as it comes in. And that's how Cleargistix helps us enable that. But then we also use some other data collections that are a little bit more hands-on, like Kevin mentioned on the HSE, to get that as an entry point, but that's still validated against those base elements. So, we do have those throughout as kind of the thread throughout all of the data, and that's how we make the associations for all the other inputs that we get.
Yeah, and the ability to link all of that data up from location to formation to field to company man to activity to payroll. Kevin's point earlier on let the data tell you what you're looking for is that I see as the biggest benefit for Brigade moving forward, because it's going to have all of the data and all of those data links that will be able to tell those stories. So, to get your question asked, you got to know get your answer. You got to know what the question is sometimes. And a lot of times you struggle with the question because, the data can be overwhelming. The way that Brigade is structuring their data, will allow them to make a wide variety of business decisions, look for trends, and be proactive with their customers as they move forward. We got a question. Someone asked, how does Cleargistix integrate with other systems? We have a pretty robust API that is capable of ingesting and then spitting out, for lack of a better term, information on the back end. So again, from ERP systems to payroll systems, business intelligence, safety, et cetera. Part of our design has been make it easy also to get the information out of the system. Again, so those data linkages can be formed and that information can be created. And again, in a real-time manner.
Thank you,
Question?
Stephen.
Yes.
One other question. You guys mentioned, talked about the sort of pace of change and trying to keep things slow and get lots of feedback as you move through for both Brigade and Cleargistix, that validating direction, constantly getting lots of feedback as you develop these tools. Do you have any sort of guidance generally for there's lots of people watching who are developing their own dashboards and digital tools and doing projects around the industry? I'm wondering what kind of feedback or learnings you guys might have that help better think about the right pace to target, to have the right expectations, and achieving the right amount or enough feedback to make sure you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of public speaking, and when I was getting trained to do public speaking, someone told me slow down, and then when you think you've slowed down enough, slow down some more. And I think a lot of that carries over to technology implementation and understanding that technology implementation is change management, and you're changing somebody's world tomorrow. And how you do that, the pace that you do that in, again, we try not to beat people over the head with the change, because our belief and our experience is that change, once it's done slowly, gradually, and kind of almost at the pace of the user, becomes cemented in place. You can't take that away once that change has been done. So that ability to understand where you're going and moving forward kind of permeates everything that we do as a company. It's something Lindsay, our Chief Customer Officer, is phenomenal at. but really managing that and really having that level of understanding that, hey, we're changing somebody's world tomorrow. They've been filling out a piece of paper for 20 years, and tomorrow they're going to fill out the same thing on a tablet. And that has got to be an easy, painless, Lindsay used the word stressless activity. And the more that you can make that easy, the better that change kind of cements in, and it becomes a part of what they're doing. Eric, have anything to add?
I wouldn't mind adding something.
Oh, go ahead, Lindsay.
So the thing about the speed of rollout, it's a couple of factors. The first being, if you go at the speed of the user. So if the user, you don't stop until the user knows what they're doing, because if you leave them behind and you say, okay, you're trained, go. If they start messing up and they start doing things wrong, or they get stressed out, it's going to start, a nice little conversation of, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Whereas if you can just get them comfortable with it, know that they're not going to break anything, they're not going to, ruin anything, they start getting more confidence. Also, you want to keep in mind that if you can get this done correctly at the beginning and make sure that you've taken into account everything that needs to be taken into account, you won't have issues 2 or 3 months later when suddenly it's like, okay, well, why aren't we doing this? And you have to restructure things. So the feedback is also for us. Are we missing anything? Is there something else that you want to keep that needs to be added to here? Is there something on here that you are never going to use that's just busy work? And the people who actually give the feedback, and even if you're just asking them for that feedback, they feel more invested in the software because they were part of the development of it. It becomes, they have a certain sense of ownership in the process, which leads to stronger buy-in.
I think another one of the keys and how we did our down select with Cleargistix is it's got to be intuitive. It has to be easy for the user to do. If it's not, you're going to fight an uphill battle the entire time. And one of the other things that we did in rollout is we didn't just roll it all out at once. All right, here's the tickets, here's the JSAs, here's the rig audits. You piecemeal it, just like any phased approach to any change management. You get the one piece and that's most important. You get that rolled out, get them to learn the system, and then everything becomes easy after that. But the design inside of Cleargistix allows us to structure each one of the items that we want to collect like a ticket. And so they're following the same flow and format when they're entering the data in there. So that's one of the critical pieces to it.
Becomes very familiar.
Yes.
And just as a side note, so we did take, we've all defined kind of how that approach was, and I think it's been very successful for us. But full disclosure, we started the implementation in May of this year. And we've implemented in 12 of our 14 districts between now and May. So it was very slow to begin, but once we got the kind of the ball rolling and kind of that snowball, the subsequent districts went very fast. So and all that is a tribute to the approach and the simplicity of the data collection, mimicking what they're used to in the field.
What other questions or comments? All right. Well, thank everyone for your participation. Enjoyed talking to everybody. Kevin, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. If there are no other questions, Kurt, anything that you want to add or have us expound upon before we move on?
Oh, I mean, I'm too long-winded. That's a dangerous offer. I think what you guys are doing, I think the approach of taking the field data where we're all familiar with the difficulties of changing the workflows of people that are working in the field for a myriad of reasons, making that change to collect more data from the field and getting that into a usable format that's driving your business, I think is really interesting. We didn't really talk a whole lot about the way that that's fueling the training programs that you guys at Brigade work really hard on to achieve and optimize kind of the way your teams perform in the field and kind of using the information that you're gathering to help drive that. But I think that those applications, that there's a lot of different mechanisms that you're kind of able to start focusing on and optimizing because you have the data. Which I think is where I guess I get really interested in things that we can be doing in other parts of the business as well as we move increasingly in this direction. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to put this together for us. It's certainly really educational for me on what you're doing and how you're putting something to work. I think there's, as you said, there's lots of people kind of out there with buzzwords on digital oil field and AI, ML, and all those other kind of not very precise terms. So to see something that you guys are doing is nice.
Now, Kurt, you'll need to bring us back in about 6 months, and the story continues.
Yeah, I know that you have some other exciting projects in the works. There's some really cool services on the sort of the truly kind of Silicon Valley digital side that I think that this is enabling you guys to get involved with, which is going to be really exciting to watch in the future.
Sure. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining us, and appreciate the questions. And if there's anything else, please reach out to Kurt. He's got our contact information, and we can continue on and provide more answers, hopefully.
Thank you all very, very much. We appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everyone. It was great. Appreciate it.